Yeah, thanks for coming. And it's been a privilege to talk first time on UbuntuCon. And to be honest, I think like me, many of us, we started our Linux journey from Ubuntu somehow. So to share a story about me, I started using Ubuntu, I think 2014 or 12, 14, sometimes just out of the curiosity to start using another OS out of, pirated Windows copy. So that's when I started using Ubuntu, and later on, somehow led me to have a journey on open source and try different distros altogether. So far it's nice and it's been a privilege. So today I got a chance to talk, and it's a nice one. And thanks for coming on weekend. So today I'm going to talk about how to build a production ready Kubernetes. Now, firstly, I apologize for not following the program PPT template. So I really got the template very late, so I could not format it accordingly. So I'm just using something very funky. Pardon me if you don't understand something. Just let me know afterwards. I'll try to help you out. And so Kubernetes, I am in deep into Kubernetes, been using it for like past 5, 6 years. And so when I thought about giving a talk here, so I thought, why not let's do a, so basically, most of the time we use Kubernetes we take any cloud provider and whatever the Kubernetes they're offering managed services. So that, takes us to a journey where we don't know a lot of things about Kubernetes, how the core functionalities are working, and we just use it as a user. So that's why I built a checklist. So in the checklist, so basically I have figured it out like how you know we can go one by one and build ourselves. So that I did, but internet is very slow here, so I will not demo it, but I will just go through what are the checklists that are required. And checklist means when you are deploying something onto enterprise, any products, I think many of us as a professional will agree, we need a checklist. Be it that we're doing a disaster recovery, be it building something, we need a checklist, right? So we're following step by step. Otherwise, one thing or happen, another when you're working with large teams, you'll forget to do maybe a step 3 or step 4 and skip to step 5. That will lead to a production disaster. So this is me. I am Kunal, and I work as a developer advocate in a startup called Castel, and I lead the APAC region. And those were from Bangalore. I think I met many of you guys today. So I led a couple of local meetup group as well. And so in APAC, definitely I do a lot of meetup. In Bangalore, mostly monthly at least one or two meetup I do, and I meet a lot of familiar faces here. And apart from Bangalore, across, so I am from Kolkata, so I do a lot. I handle the scenes of Kolkata there also. And yeah, that's about me. So uh, when we start building Kubernetes cluster or whatever, the problems comes is not how to do it, but there are so many choices out there. When you search something on Google or any search engines, you get like a lot of choices, lot of things are there. But it's about understanding your need and what we need to do, and based on my need, what we have to choose, rather than choosing whatever the best out there. So most of the time, it happens like the best out there is not suitable for your needs. Maybe it's a little overkill, maybe it's a little bit underwhelming. So that's what we're going to discuss, and we're going to discuss in a checklist approach. But first is the question comes like why Ubuntu first place. Like if I'm building a cluster, like why will you to use Ubuntu? There are so many distros out there, and I think in Kubernetes, I think we are not using Arch at least. So that's a famous quotation that goes around in Reddit and all social media that use Arch. So to just to glorify their Linux understanding, but the data says it. So most of the companies, most of the servers that are running is running on Linux, and on Linux, most of them are based on Debian somehow one way or another. And not only that, I would ask another question like, what do you think the success of Ubuntu? Definitely the nice UI, the last talk about UX and nice, what do you say, this nice community. Apart from all that, what I think is basically the support. So when anyone is working onto any enterprises, I have seen a lot of the times, many banks, many financial sectors, they struggle a lot and they try to stay away from open source softwares just because it does not have support. If something breaks, who will take the blame? Who will provide the SLAs? So next, okay, I have a just a question for you guys. You guys can feel free to answer if and you want. Like, how many years of enterprise support does Ubuntu Pro provides? I think wherever like Ubuntu has a Pro version, and that is used very well in many enterprises. And just a guess, like is it 5 years, 10 years, 12 years, or 15 years? 15 years, yeah. Okay, 10 years, 15 or 10. A silly question. Basically, it's just 10 years. But last time I spoke 2 years back, I think you can still purchase 2 year add-on. So that calculates to 12 years. So that's a lot for a kind of open source Linux distro. You are getting the support of 12 years, and that is offered by Ubuntu Pro. That's about Ubuntu advertising. Let's go ahead and just a quick add-on. We just announced 15 years. Today is about 15 years. Awesome, awesome. So 15 years is there. And so that's what again the same benefit. Um it's well, used, and community support is great. You can ask question about anything, and I think you guys must try the community. If you stuck on something, it's very great, and they really reply, not like the C++ Stack Overflow channel. Everyone respects you and answers you very nicely. So, and it's very fast. So for personal users also, like because they have integrated so many things like Snap package, for instance, like app image, for instance. Definitely, you can add Snap to any distros, but it's already built in. Same for those with AppArmor. I have a dedicated slides on AppArmor also. So it's built securely from bottom approach. So you don't have to tinker around a lot of things. So you just install it and try using it. And so now coming to the checklist framework. So if you're building something like Kubernetes, which is built for scaling, I feel like these are 5 checklist approach, and this is following the CNCF guidelines. So these are 5 like distribution, networking, storage, security, and observability. So now coming to first, I'll just go very fast because of time. So first, I'll talk about distribution. So if you're building something on Kubernetes, building a Kubernetes cluster on Ubuntu, so there are a lot of ways you can do it. So microcreators is by default supported, and same for Charm Kubernetes. Now these are very new. I think many of us who was tried using Kubernetes, we use so Cube DM or K3s, or maybe very beginner friendly would be Minikube. But I would suggest if you haven't tried microcreators, just give it a shot. So I'll just show you. Like I tried it like only I think last 2 months or 1 month before, and it was awesome. You can install like a cluster on your system, a virtual node, everything in just span of minute. So just to get a number, like suppose if I want to deploy a Kubernetes cluster for my own testing and all, right, how much time it might take, the lowest possible time, just guess it up, and how many commands I need. So okay, guess it up, like how much lowest time it can get to create a cluster, maybe 2 node cluster or something like that. Any guesses? 15 minutes? That's still low, right? So okay, so I'll just go at and this describe microcredit is for slow. If you're trying something learning purpose, it's very good. And if you want to go beyond, so there's a Juju manage Chan Kubernetes that is also very nice. You can connect additional nodes. You can do a lot of tough stuffs. Only thing is the Juju management part you have to learn. It's a slight learning curve, but still it is good, and basically it's good if you want to do a lot of scaling and stuff. So now so I recorded the video because I knew the Wi-Fi would not work. So this is just live video, no fast forward, nothing. And just text. So I just ran one single command. First command to install microcredits using Snap packages, which I love. And basically the mirrors are in India. So the download speed is very high for Ubuntu. If you compare with Pop OS or any Debian-based OS, the download speed of Ubuntu is comparatively very high. And so first command I completed, it took I think 10-15 seconds. And then I forgot what to run. So that took 5-6 seconds. And then you see I just adding, creating the user. And secondly, I'm just refreshing the group. So this is like microcreators group I created. and that's it. Now, if I check the status, it's already installed, and you can see it's running fine. Okay, so that took me how much time? Not 15 minutes, but more or less, if you are fast enough typer, it can get it done, I think, in 15-20 seconds. And if I just run kubectl get nodes, we get the nodes. Okay. So that's it. It takes 15 seconds to set up your own development cluster using microcreditors. I think it's the fastest. And again, so I made a mistake of, just the command, and then I fixed it and ran it again. So, and the pod is created, everything is working fine. So whatever you expect from Kubernetes, you want to test something, this is the way to go, I feel. Now, next, after selecting the distribution, next thing comes into networking. So there are a lot of options already. So first, we can use, there are a lot of projects out there which are ready to be used. And again, I put all these different options just to make sure that from, beginner, for home testing, from scaling, everything is covered. There are a lot of other projects as well. And so by default, Kubernetes Ubuntu supports eBPF. So Cilium would be a nicer choice because it's eBPF powered, and Calico and Flannel still uses, the old thing. So there's an IP table where manages central IP. Using that, it forwards from one IP to another. But Cilium uses eBPF, which is built into Ubuntu, all the distribution after, I think, 22. So you can just use it. And same thing, after selecting the network, that's like less important, but more important part is, selecting the rules and selector. So you block traffic from one place to another. That is, and much more important than selecting a CNN. And next in the checklist is storage. So again, if you have, again, building something locally for testing, for learning, Postpass is the way to go, but no one uses it for production. So there are a lot of open source projects. These two, I have been privileged to use. So send Longhorn, it's a simple thing. It takes, there are two nodes you have. So you dump data into Longhorn. It replicates into three replicas. So if something goes wrong, you have a backup of that. And secondly, you have OpenEBS, which I can suppose ZFS. I think ZFS is also by default enabled into Ubuntu. So that's the benefit of using a distro like this. I love it. So all the good things are already enabled by default. Now, same thing for security, which is most important. So there are a lot of errors that we do whenever building any system, building any cluster. So we sometimes run systems, run containers as a root. Sometimes we don't put any limits. So sometimes if the app, is very resource hungry, it goes and takes all the chunks of the node. Sometimes we keep ports open. So these are some of the mistakes that I've seen and I have just added here. Now, in terms of security, these are the things, already, by default embedded. So AppArmor is a very, I think, cool thing. I just explain it shown in the next slide. So among all these four that I mentioned, like Ubuntu Pro gives security updates till 15 years. And, that's quite long, and the development is already, going. And apart from all that, I think the community is so responsive. So that also is a nicer thing. And AppArmor, why I mentioned in security, the most important, set is because the data says that 80% of breaches that had happened last year is not because, some kind of malicious hacker coming into the picture. This is because of misconfiguration by us or production team. So that we have to avoid. And there are a lot of ways we can avoid. So one of the ways that I found built into Ubuntu is called AppArmor. So it's like same like Snap packages, which isolates a package in a manner that you're already containerizing kind of thing. But AppArmor, it helps, to avoid unauthorized file access, and no kind of privileges is given by default. And apart from that, a lot of benefits are there. So these are the things that you can, use. So it's basically a security module that's pre-installed and enabled by default, unlike something like AC Linux and all, which is by default disabled in most of the distros that you have to enable and then use it. So AppArmor is by default is enabled, and mostly if you're using something after, I think, the last 4-5 version, it is already you are using this. And next, this is the workflow for AppArmor, how it works. So you have a node that is running Ubuntu or any other flavor of Ubuntu. and then you just add an annotation. So what annotation? This is basically one liner you can find to enable AppArmor, and that's it. It starts supporting it, and then the container is locked by default, so no need to tinker it around. And this is the line I was talking about. So you just add one line to whatever the node that you are using in using Ubuntu image in the node. And by default, you're secure and all the best practices that are there that is getting followed. And these are 5 checklists. I try to complete fast, but a lot of things that still remains. Okay, so I missed the observability part. So observability also is the important thing. It's might not seem oil, but unless you have a good observability metrics to catch up on what is happening and how to resolve it, why it's important is basically how strong or how production efficient system you build is bound to go wrong, or bound to take some action which is you not intended action, right? So we need some kind of observability and some kind of dashboard, which helps us to gather the logs and then index the logs and search the logs. So that's why there are a lot of tools are available. So these are mostly used in production, I would say. So Prometheus and Grafana dashboard are used in most of the places. And along with that, now Loki is a thing. So which is absolutely awesome, and it is used to index the logs and search it faster. And then Yager is also there, so which you can see the request flow is going from one node to another when the application breaking in is happening, so all the things you can do. And after all this framework, 5 checklists that I mentioned, there are a lot of things that remains. So basically, updates is a thing that you have to carefully think about. So when you update any version, any Kubernetes version or any node version, the thing that you have to worry about, like what's the breaking changes. So if something breaks, you have to be really careful about that. So that's a crucial thing when you are doing any kind of updates, especially in production. And after I think last 2 weeks back, AWS was down. So disaster recovery is also another nicer thing. Uh, Azure goes down 2-3 months, every 2-3 months. GCP also goes down, and AWS also east. US money went down, and it was down for 5-6 hours almost. So disaster recovery, if you have planned something, if east one is not available, let's move the traffic to west or something like that. It helps you to avoid those kind of situations. And again, because I was emphasizing on microcreators at the beginning of my talk, so CI/CD also, if you want to integrate, it's very easy. If you want to get started, this is just one command, like in microcreators enable Argo, something like that. This is a one command you can install a Argo dashboard. Even if you are using like Kubernetes, like to get the Kubernetes web UI, also it's a one command. All these binaries are built in. If you run microcreators status, you will see the all the parameters are already built in. So that's very easy to use, for startup, like for starting up and learning. And then next, a lot of tech jargon. So basically, these are complete checklists just to revive it again. So first checked about foundation, and then you check Kubernetes distribution, and then first way security. Once you have fixed, like check all the projects are available for your need, what is required. When you finalize that, then comes the picture like observability. You have to check what is happening all the time. The logs are getting collected, is properly getting backed up. You are searching on that. You are getting alert if something goes wrong, and then backup and rear to avoid such situation when your application is down because of someone else's downtime. And lastly, if you want to have an operation of CI/CD, something like that, that also can be to a very fast way. So yeah, that's from my side. And a call to action would be try microcreators if you are not aware of Kubernetes. If you are even if you are aware of Kubernetes, I think for debugging and all these purposes is very useful. And join the community. I've been there like for a very long time, and it's very good. From personal experience, I would suggest you to join the community. And you can download the product and checklist from their CNC website. Just search like product and checklist of Kubernetes. And that's me. I think in shortage of time, I try to finish it very early. So we have time for Q&A. Okay, if anyone has any question, feel free to drop me a message. Or right now, also, if you want to ask anything, I'll be here for I think more than at least 1 hour. I'll be here. So feel free to connect with me. If you're shy, not asking question face to face, drop me a message on LinkedIn or Twitter, whatever. And let's see how it goes. And thank you for your time. It was nice talking to you guys. Any questions? No. Awesome. Okay, okay, I have two questions. So, check. So, how would you compare microcredit? Because I have heard of this project, but I have actually not tried it. I just use Stack, which is another. No, no, I'll explain. So, OpStack is basically you can run Docker images in your Mac or in your Windows, whatever, right? That's like it's getting creating the kernel level path. You can run any container. And microcredits is giving you a Kubernetes cluster. So one is Docker, one is outside has support for it. Yes, even Docker desktop has support, but this one will give you a full-fledged experience. If you want to tinker around the control plane, if you want to tinker around the node, if you want to create additional load, all the stuffs you can do. So definitely a lot of products are coming around and they will try to integrate Kubernetes onto them because it's so popular. Even Docker desktop have a checkbox. If you enable Kubernetes cluster, it gives you a cluster. But Obstack Docker desktop is basically built ground up to run it helps to pull Docker images and all. If you're using Hostel, I would suggest you to try Microcredits. It's just a one-line command and it's very useful. If you are on to Mac or something like that, I would suggest you can try K3s also for per se. And the benefit of using this is like you get to tinker around a lot. Maybe what you have a production cluster, right? Same miniatures Mustang you can tinker around that you don't get in Obstack. So both does similar thing, there also you can run kubectl commands, here also you can run kubectl command, but this gives you more control, that's it. Yeah, thanks. I mean, I didn't want to discuss apps. My real question was, I use a lot of, like Docker, Swarm, and, basic Docker, even I can just compose on my laptop and then, move it to Swarm and to Swarm for ages. It's a shame that they're retiring it. And I really do not want the Kubernetes because it's overkill for us. I mean, I know it's very powerful, but it is just overkill. Yeah. So like a lot of things too. So how would you compare microcakes to something like Docker Compose, Swarm, or Show, which is like sort of picture? Yeah. See, I also advocate that don't use Kubernetes until it's really needed. But what you say is really problem to think about. If you are satisfied with Docker Swarm and using Compose or whatnot, then you really don't need to move. And if your scale is that low, I mean, say definitely you are not scaling to a lot. You are definitely in a stage where you are just figuring it out. So I'm not. It's not we figuring it out actually. To be honest, we have a platform that does 10,000 concurrents any given time. 2+ million active users every day. 2 million active users. Then you are using a Docker song, and it works on five nodes, three manager nodes, okay, two worker nodes, and they just work. So some magic thing you are doing, and still I would say it's very good. No, no, I understand. Definitely, you were saying that it need to work. It is all powered by Ubuntu VMs running on. Got it. Which I have not even rebooted in 5 years. So yeah, that's the benefit of using it. You don't have to reboot it anytime. But I would suggest like 20 million people if you are serving like if 2 million. I would definitely use something like Kubernetes just because. Or maybe if you're not, interested in using Kubernetes per se because you find it overkill, I would suggest let's try slowly. Maybe your dev cluster you can create on Kubernetes and see how it is performing. Because nowadays, a lot of things, the managed Kubernetes cluster very used, like very easy to use. You don't have to handle the control plane also. You just have to, deploy your app and that's it. And nowadays, if you want to something like cloud and something, there are a lot of these abstractions are coming. So in Azure, there is this thing called container instance and container app, Azure container app. Now that you can just like put a Docker image similar, no, ECS device similar to I'd say Fargate or something like that. Okay, or EKS auto mode also for AWS. That is also takes up a lot of the setting up headache. You just put up the Docker image and tell like how much scaling unit it does everything. So those kind of system you can explore. Those are also very cheap. App containers also I think is very cheap. You just have to put two things: memory and CPU, and how much scale you need. Even Keda is also integrated. Like if you based on the traffic, if you need the scaling, that is also you can do without writing a single piece of code. So that you can try out. I have done that. For same thing, not for 2 million, for 250 users per se. If you want any code that I have written, you can just ping me. I'll help you out. Yeah, I would say if it's not broken, don't fix it. I would like to have a, if
chat with you after this about the scaling part you're talking about.
Definitely 2 million in Docker CRMs.
Kunal, question for you with microcreators, have you tried microcloud?
No, microcode I haven't tried. I have heard about it. I have read the document. I'll definitely try it out.